It has been said that children don't come with an instruction manual. In short, insightful segments, learn from an eclectic panel of parents as they offer their perspectives on issues that affect parenting today. The Home Nation RoundTable. Our conversation topic for tonight is, what is the one thing you do to better communicate and connect with your child?
You know, one of the things that I, as a parent myself, often with my kids is, I kind of reflect on myself thinking, how could I have, said that better, or, done that better, and how could I have, there's one lesson I learned about communication is that, it is said that communication is the response, I get, and so, what's the one thing that you do, when to build rapport or to communicate with your kids, that you have found that that has been effective for you, or what do you do? Yeah, can we start with
sure,
Rajiv? Yeah.
So I think for our family, it's something that I learned from my mom and dad. So every night, regardless, dinner time, the whole family sits together and have dinner. And that's the time we go around the table and say, oh yeah, so tell me about your day, what happened. And if the kids are not responsive and they're like, day was good, nothing, then we start playing games. We're like, okay, let's play a game. Today we have this game called the country game, which my 7-year-old really loves. And so you throw a letter out, you throw a letter, alphabet C, and he goes like Canada. And then the other two join in and they'll throw in another country. And it goes around the table until they run out of countries. And then, okay, though the last person who could name the country wins a point. And then we go around with another alphabet. And that's a game that we play if the kids are not in the mood to communicate. But we make it a point that every dinner, everyone sits down together and just talk. Yeah.
So and play a game.
And play a game, yeah.
Cool. Wow.
So in an indirect way, we get to know what's happening with their lives and issues that come up in their lives. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow.
So it worked for me when I was growing up. So I'm hoping it'll work for the kids. Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure it's working. So when they kind of like play the game, and through the game you kind of raise other matters and so along
exactly.
the way.
It's it loosens them up. Very similar to a wise man that taught all of us a game called the mouse, moose, and elephant game. It loosens them up, and it gets them talking, which is great.
Yeah, cool. Getting them talking is what it's about.
Absolutely, and sometimes you wish they would stop. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I love you kids. Keep on talking.
Okay, and Adrian, so what do you do to build relationship rapport?
I think one thing that this whole thing about communication, and as you rightly pointed out, it's how you're able to get the person you're communicating with to respond, and I think key to that is listening. And very often you kind of just pay lip service to that whole you've got to talk to your kids, and then you just you hear this kind of noise. It just becomes white noise. But I've just always made it a point to just make the effort to really listen. And when I similar to you, Rajiv, when kids come home from school, when I ask them how was your day, it's not if they say fine, that's not good enough. I really want to know about your day. I really want you to tell me in detail about all the good stuff, the bad stuff, and we can talk about it, because as your kids grow up, they have their own lives, and it's so easy to unconsciously lose touch and lose them, I suppose. There's the whole thing about letting go is one thing, but still having them involved in your life and is a huge thing that I want to keep. So listening to your kids is very, very important, I think, and sometimes it's a little bit of an effort to make them engage and make them buy into the conversation, but Just
Yeah,
a little bit of prodding and finding some way to wheedle something out of them, and then it all comes out. It's fantastic. And that indirect way of doing it through a game is fantastic. Sometimes, you know, we, I don't know, play poker or something together, and you know, we just, you know, it's just a bunch of four people having fun and talking and laughing, and it's fantastic. And I think it's important to talk about the light, silly things as well, rather than only talk when things go wrong. You know, then you become just a foul-weathered family. You've got to be a fair-weathered family as well. Just talk and listen. I think that's really key.
Wow. Lots of wisdom there.
I don't know, I'm making it up.
I almost believed you.
Believe me, the rules of parenthood is something I'm just
Great
making
actor.
up.
Good actor.
I'm telling you,
You
man.
had to believe it.
But you know, really, I mean, I like what you said about being able to talk about, you know, the silly things, and you know, I think I myself got to remind myself that sometimes when we take a bit serious, you know, and you know, kind of we worry and we care sometimes a bit too much, and you know, we forget to be a bit silly, you know. And I think that's very important, you know. Yeah. Okay. Now, what about yourself, Chandra?
For me, I think it's the thing is because I'm the funny guy, the fun guy at home. So it's but for me, bedtime is sacred.
Bedtime.
Yeah, I try to spend this. Yeah, and usually I'm there to spend time with them, read a story, and then I would tell them how my day was or something interesting that happened, and sort of prompt them to share, you know, their side of the story. And then when Joshua, our older boy, grew up and couldn't really spend bedtime with him, it was tea time. We would have tea at home. Like my wife was away for a year studying, so I took time off from work, and so that I could spend time with the two boys, you know, to be there.
Stealing cucumbers.
Not yet. No cucumbers this year, unfortunately. No more farms.
From the supermarket.
So sad.
Kids, let's go down to this local supermarket. Let's go to giant exactly.
So yeah, it's like, you know, designating a special time of the day, like tea time was having fruits together. So I'll talk about how my day was or something that happened, and then that sort of triggers them off.
So by sharing about your own day,
Like,
it
what
opens them up. Yeah?
Or something that happened in the neighborhood, or something I saw, you know, something funny, or even a joke or something. Yeah.
Great.
I suppose when they're young, they're chatty. It's I suppose it's easier. But when they get older, like they become more introverted. Then you know, then you have to try a little harder.
Yeah.
But it's just setting time. Like, I think that's you have to.
Yeah.
I think I'm at an age where I can afford the time. So so they are the priority now. Work sort of revolves around them.
Wow.
As much as possible. I would send my younger boy to the school and, you know, spend time with him. So it's spending time
The time together.
and not passing judgment, I suppose, to listening.
Yeah. Very important. That time. And so, how about yourself, Sanjit?
Well, thankfully, as you say, the young ones are incredibly chatty, and so is my son. He loves to talk. So I will listen to him. I think he's got interesting things to say, and you know, that's the wonderful thing about being a journalist. You do actually have to listen to the answers of what people are telling you. You can't tune out at any point, because then you'd be like, oh, you weren't listening. But anyhow, I do listen to my son, and I'm very good at that, and he is incredibly chatty. And I mean, I think just this week is really important, because this week I didn't actually see him very much. I was in Kuala Lumpur covering the aftermath of the tragic MH17 crash, and just how Malaysians were reacting, having to cover sort of press conferences from the Malaysian authorities and things like that. And I didn't see him enough, and I just really missed talking to him. So the wonderful thing about communication these days is you have telephones, you've got something called FaceTime and Skype, which is amazing, because then you just, you know, I'm right in the middle of all these sort of live updates with the BBC, and then I get onto my computer, my tablet, and I'm able to see my son in this screen, and he can see me, and we can see immediately what the other person's doing, talk to them about his, you know, what their day was like, you know, obviously my husband as well. And it's just wonderful. It's wonderful having modern technology, because you can travel a lot and you can do different things, but as long as you're connected somehow with your child, it doesn't feel like you're talking through a medium of technology. You know, literally your child feels like he's right there.
You.
I
Yeah.
can see him and he can see me, and it's so important to connect. And yeah, so I'm hoping it will stay this way with us, because I'd love to always hear about his day. We also have, you know, obviously bedtime is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
So we tend to, you know, spend time reading in bed and things like that, and a cuddle in bed at the end of the evening, at the end of the day. It's so important. I mean, when I came home from this awful week, and you know, when you think about tragic things like there were 80 children on that plane, and you know, all sorts of tragedies like that happen every day. You just want to squeeze your child that much harder. You know, you just want to, the first thing I wanted to do was come home and just give him a big cuddle, you know, and that was all I was thinking of. You know, I was like, I've got to get home, I've got to see Jai, I've got to, you know, give him a big hug, and you know, and it just makes you appreciate your children so much more. Yeah, so I think communication through technology, no matter where you are, is wonderful. But I wish I had the luxury of being able to spend a bit more time with him. I will now. I've got the nice long weekend, so it's all going to be about him. So.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's bedtime already, sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Got to get that storybook in there.
Wow, fantastic. Wow. I mean, you know, in terms of every day, we're all very busy, I'm sure, but being able to make that time. And but you know, it's interesting because, you know, I've been hearing many parents sort of like also concerned about technology, but you know, I think technology, if it's about how we, you know, manage that, isn't it? And so it's great to hear that positive story about how technology really helps with that connection. You know, be able to see each other no matter which part of the day. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. You know, it's been extremely, you know, enriching to hear from you, and I'm sure the parents at home are finding that the same way. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you would like to see more videos that help take your parenting skills to another level, just click on the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching Champs TV, and continue to discover the champion in your child. This has been a Mind Champs Media production.